After Viserys' final conversation with Alicent, news of his death spreads across the castle and reaches the queen. Wasting no time, Alicent quickly organizes a small council meeting to discuss the realm's next course of action. Misconstruing her husband's words, Alicent tells the lords that Viserys' dying wish was for Aegon to be his heir. Led by Otto, most of the council members believe the queen's story and settle on Aegon as their new king. Reaching an agreement, the lords plot to replace Rhaenyra and brainstorm ways to usurp the Iron Throne. Though most of the small council members support the plan, Lord Beesbury, the Master of Coin, rejects it, as Viserys had actively supported Rhaenyra as his heir for decades. Beesbury doubts Alicent's story and insinuates that she might be behind the king's death. Hearing this accusation, Sir Criston slams Lord Beesbury's head on the table, instantly killing him. With the only opposing councilman dead, the plot for the throne continues. Alicent proposes a peaceful takeover, but Otto counters that Rhaenyra would wage war against them if Aegon is instated as king. To avoid mass bloodshed, the King's Hand suggests they send assassins to kill the princess and save Westeros from a potential civil war. Despite Otto's logical plan, Alicent decides against killing Rhaenyra and instantly shuts down the idea. Sir Harold Westerling, the commander of the Kingsguard, also opposes Otto's proposal and puts down his cloak and position as he exits the meeting. Failing to reach a conclusion, the small council ends the meeting while Alicent and Otto search for Aegon. Arriving at his chambers, they discover the delinquent prince has escaped into the city hours ago. Jumping to action, Otto sends two Kingsguard, Sir Eric and Eric, into the city to find Aegon before the knights leave. Otto instructs that the prince be brought directly to him instead of Alicent. Fearing her father has a secret agenda, the queen resolves to find Aegon first and sends Aemond and Sir Criston to search for him. Following Alicent's orders, the two men swiftly head to the city to look for Aegon. As the young prince lives a promiscuous lifestyle, the duo visits a nearby brothel, but doesn't find him there. While Aemond and Criston futilely search the city, Otto's men visit a fighting ring that Aegon frequents. There, they find a barbaric scene, where children are forced to fight to the death for the entertainment of rich spectators. In the pit, the knights also encounter a silver-haired boy who Eric explains is one of Aegon's numerous bastards. Unimpressed by the prince's lifestyle, Eric fears that Aegon may not make a good king and second-guesses his allegiance. Nevertheless, the King's Guards continue their mission and keep scouting the pit. While they search the area, the guards are approached by a mysterious girl who claims to know the prince's location. Despite much cajoling, the girl refuses to tell the guards where he is and offers a condition for her cooperation. The mysterious girl explains her mistress, the White Worm, requests an audience with Otto and would only reveal Aegon's whereabouts to the King's Hand. Having no other viable leads, Eric and Eric return to the palace to inform Otto of the White Worm's ultimatum. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the King's Hand calls a meeting of Westeros' lords and orders them to forfeit their oaths to Rhaenyra and swear loyalty to Aegon instead. Fearing for their lives, most switch alliances, while a couple stand their ground and refuse to support Aegon's rule. On Otto's orders, the naysayers are arrested and escorted out of the palace by some of the guards. After the meeting, one of the lords tries to escape King's Landing and get word of the city's happenings to Rhaenyra. However, he is quickly caught by the guards and executed for treason. At the other end of the palace, Alicent meets Rhaenys and tries convincing her to join Aegon's side. Faithful to Rhaenyra, Rhaenys rejects the offer and maintains her loyalty to the princess. Seeing this, Alicent locks Rhaenys in her chambers and prevents her from leaving the city. Outside the castle, Otto receives word from his guards and finally meets the mysterious White Worm. Revealing herself, it turns out that the White Worm is none other than Mysaria, Daemon's ex-fiancée. In exchange for Aegon's location, Mysaria asks Otto to shut down the barbaric fight rings in the city. Desperate, the King's Hand agrees to the White Worm's terms and also hands her a stash of gold. After receiving payment, Mysaria finally discloses the prince's location, with Eric and Eric heading out to find him. Reaching the revealed location, the duo finds a captured Aegon in an underground pillar, who was held there by the White Worm, and frees him from it. The King's Guard then seize the prince and begin their journey back to the palace. Outside, Eric runs into Aemond and Criston. Following the Queen's orders, Criston and Aemond intend to return Aegon themselves and move to grab him. As a result, a fight ensues between Criston and Eric while Aemond sees his brother. In the end, Alicent's men emerge victorious as they successfully return Aegon to the Queen. Back at the palace, Lord Larys visits Alicent in her chambers and delivers some disturbing news. The Queen's ally reveals there's a secret group in King's Landing with a chain of spies all over the city, including the palace. This group, led by the White Worm, gets sensitive info throughout King's Landing and could potentially become a dangerous sect. Hearing this, Alicent grows worried and orders Lord Larys to eliminate the spy group. As payment for his service, the Queen offers a sexual favor to her ally. Satisfying his fetish, Alicent exposes her feet to Larys and allows him to stare at them while he coyly pleasures himself. The following day, Otto and Alicent arrange a coronation ceremony for Aegon. On their commands, the City Watch sweeps through the city and force all of King's Landing citizens into the Dragon Pit, which serves as the coronation hall. Meanwhile, back at the palace chambers, Sir Eric switches allegiance and helps Princess Rhaenys break out of her room. Leading the way, the King's Guard sneaks Rhaenys out of the castle and into the streets of King's Landing. As they move out of the city, the duo gets separated, as the princess is forced alongside the common folks into the Dragon Pit. While the ceremony proceeds, Rhaenys sneaks out and heads to the underground pit to retrieve Meleys, her dragon. Right as Aegon is crowned the new king, Meleys emerges from the ground and violently disrupts the ceremony. Frightened, the spectators all race out of the hall, while Alicent and her kids cower in fear before Rhaenys and her dragon. Despite their atrocities, Rhaenys chooses to spare their lives and instructs Meleys not to hurt them. Instead, she flies her dragon out of the hall and heads to Dragonstone to inform Rhaenyra of King Viserys' death and Aegon's ascension to the throne.